So we've had a pretty busy couple of months with the release of games like Apex Legends, Far Cry New Dawn and Metro Exodus. All big budget AAA games that can afford to pay for marketing and advertising to make people take notice of them even if they don't like it. Then there's those smaller games that kinda get left to the wayside for various reasons, and one of these is a game called Away, Journey to the Unexpected. If you haven't heard of this game, well, that's fine. In fact, I think few people actually have, and it doesn't help that it's got a mostly negative review status on Steam. Considering Steam reviews are often about as reliable as a bungee cord made out of licorice, you're probably wondering if that's a justified score. Well, let's delve into this thing and find out. Considering the last anime-themed game I played through was Seed of the Dead, a game where you had to prevent 3 girls from being raped by zombies, it's kinda nice to play something like this that's a little bit more innocent. First thing that happens when you load into the game is you're greeted with an animated intro that looks like the opening for an anime from the late 90s or early 2000s, with the main character who has the most glorious looking sideburns I've ever seen on a young boy. Anyway, the gist of the whole thing is your parents have gone missing for some reason and now you're living with your grandparents, as well as a frog in a toilet, a psychic cat, a dog and a couple of cutesy spiders. And in the beginning of the game you set off on a journey to find them. To do this, you need to make your way through a bunch of different environments, taking on enemies working for a conglomerate called Labbyworks, some kind of evil construction company that are going around tearing shit up, and they employ bouncy looking ball things that wear hard hats and attack children on sight with pickaxes. As you move around, you'll collect gold that you can use to purchase items, and every time you die, you retain your progress and also keep your XP to level up to earn more perks. It's a good thing your character is so good at making friends, because you're going to need help getting your folks back, and dealing with what some might say are overly aggressive employees of Labbyworks. In every area there's usually 2 or 3 characters you can interact with, and if you play your cards right and choose the correct dialogue, they can team up with you and help you out along the way. You've got 4 slots in total and you need friendship cubes to allow someone to team up with you. Imagine if in real life all you had to do was find a friendship cube to make someone like you. It'd be a lot easier than stalking them outside their homes at night time, wouldn't it? Anyway, the goal of the game is to get 8 friendship points so you can rescue your parents from inside a spaceship run by evil space knights. And to do this you need to find and recruit every playable character. Now it might sound dumb, but it's actually kind of interesting only because each character has their own unique set of skills, and this is I think one of the better aspects of the game. One of the first ones you meet is this old magician with a staff that can shoot out fireballs, and when you play as this guy your vision's even cracked to replicate his broken glasses. And when playing as him, you also have trouble maintaining an erection or remembering how to drive.
No!
When using this guy, if you're half decent with your aim, he makes these early levels pretty damn easy, particularly the boss, who you can just kind of blast on from a distance without even really having to try and get in close with a melee weapon. Which is good because the melee weapons have so little reach that you may as well just be swinging a stump at someone. After you've beaten the first boss, you're then in some kind of Arctic area, resembling a frozen tundra. At this point, the next character you're likely to come across is the Brobot. To recruit the Brobot, you need to answer a series of questions or else he just ignores you and you'll have to start a new playthrough to unlock him. There's a reason this guy's so hard to unlock though, it's because his attack is a homing missile launcher that just does insane damage and can shred through the next boss on this level with complete ease. In the desert stage, you'll find 3 characters. Now, one of these is a bounty hunter that's got a pistol that can pretty much one-shot every single enemy type that isn't a boss. The catch though is that this guy has a price being a bounty hunter and all, so for 500 gold he joins the team. And again, like the Brobot, this guy just minces through boss fights. In this area, you can also meet a Labbyworks manager, who's some poor sod that's gotten too close to some kind of hazardous chemical. And as a result, he's turned into the guy from the end of RoboCop. You know, the one who gets hit by the vat of radioactive waste? This guy's basically the same as the starting character, it's just that his melee attack does 2 damage per hit instead of the player's 1. So, he's a good character to have. The last character you'll find in the desert is this weird fruit bat looking thing called Lightheart that's got a giant hole in its chest, courtesy of the bounty hunter. Now, Lightheart isn't an offensive character, but he can replenish your health by dropping heart pickups. But considering enemies often drop hearts when killed, and you find hearts in chests pretty frequently, this guy really ain't all that useful. The last couple of characters you come across on this tropical beach are probably the weirdest. One of these is a skeleton named Sarah that thinks she's a seagull. When you finally convince her to come along with you, she grants the awesome power of being able to place down these transparent blocks on the ground. But the only thing I found it good at though was using it to trap the final boss so he couldn't move around all that much. The other final character is a melting ice block named Cool Kid that's come back from ice cream heaven because it got bored or something. When this thing joins up with you, it's able to shoot out and trap enemies in a block of ice, allowing them to be killed in a single hit. And that's a pretty nice ability to have when the hit detection actually registers. Anyway, once you've met all these guys, you can finally free your parents with all your 8 friendship stars. But not before a final boss fight against a god named Pong Ping, in a one-on match of ping pong. Yeah, it just keeps getting weirder. Despite being a god though, it turns out Pong Ping is a little bitch when it comes to table tennis. And I smashed this asshole 11-0. Yeah, get schwacked. At that point the game restarts and you're free to go back and play through any of the areas again. Use the fast travel system, talk to other characters, or just stop playing I guess. All up, Away took me about 3 hours to get to and it blatantly advertises that length on its store page, so it's something you can't really knock it for. Now I don't think Away is all that much of a bad game, but it's definitely a little bit shallow when it comes to the gameplay. You're really only just replaying the same 3 or 4 hubs over and over, doing the same thing in the same looking randomly generated dungeons to proceed onward. The main mechanic of the game is recruiting the other characters, and this can be done super quickly when you realise how this works. You just grab a friendship cube or buy one, then you walk over and you talk to them. I mean, there is some variety to using each of the characters, but the balancing for these guys is really off, making some of them just way more useful than others, often to the detriment of the inferior characters, who really have no business using up one of your friendship slots. Like the character who's this giant tree who can place down these floating spiked balls that just hang in the air for 10 seconds, shredding anything that touches them. Compare that to a skeleton who can just put down transparent blocks. The hit detection too isn't all that good, like your melee weapons have a really short range and enemies are able to damage you simply by touching you. Now I get that this is a throwback to games from the 8 and 16-bit era, and it doesn't become too bad once you've got some of the upgrades that increase your health points, or the one that gives you the ability to block attacks with a dishpan. But it's not a very polished melee combat system and it does kinda suffer as a result. The price also might be a little bit steep considering just how short the game is. At the moment it's on sale on Steam for $20, with the normal price I think being around $25, and that's Aussie dollars. And I just think that's a little bit high for a game that's not going to take you longer than 3 or 4 hours to finish. Like if the price was $10 or even only $15, it might be okay, but at that price point it just seems a little bit high. Despite all this, I think Away is still a really cute and charming game. It's obviously aimed at kids more so than the hardcore gaming audience, like the kind of people who have to use a separate program to load in all their Doom WODs at the same time. Initially the game seems kind of repetitive, and it is, but as you progress and earn more friendship points, you unlock fast travel points that make the progress a lot quicker, and remove that tedious backtracking element. The visual style has a good mix of some appealing looking 3D environments mixed with very well animated and hand-drawn sprites for the characters. And I love the fact that the game doesn't shove tits, ass or rapist zombies in my face every second either. I mean look, I like fully modelled panties as much as the next man, but there comes a time when I kinda need a break from it. Particle effects for weapons look good, especially for explosions and some of the magical effects, and the game runs pretty smooth, even if it does have some horrible mouse smoothing implemented and the lack of an FOV option. Away isn't particularly challenging or difficult, and it's not going to keep you engaged for days on end like, food poisoning would, but whilst it lasts for that brief 3 or 4 hours, it might offer up a fun enough little distraction, in between killing scrubs in Apex Legends or taking over the same outpost again in Far Cry New Dawn.